Hello, 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 and welcome to the next episode, Learn, Grow, Do, Repeat with Jamie Totino. So today I'm joined by two people at the same time, two incredible guys who have come together to run an incredible podcast called the MetaMinds. But individually, we have Dan, who's a psychologist who is now completing his master's in counseling. And just for fun, as a hobby, he runs a YouTube channel giving tech reviews. It has over 26,000 subscribers. And he's also a commercial drone pilot. And then we have Aimon on the other side, who runs his own video production company. He's been doing that for 7 years now. And works with small to medium-sized businesses. And I tell you guys, some of his content is really good. I was watching some of it these last couple of weeks. And he's always had the creative mind and been the visionary since day one. As I mentioned, they come together to do the MetaMinds podcast, ultimately helping you to create and master your mindset to get the most out of your life. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us on, man.
Thank you so much, man.
So just so everyone knows, which one's Dan and which one's Aimon, just so for those who are watching and then listening.
And then I'm Aimon.
And awesome. Thanks so much for being here, guys. I really appreciate it. I know we're on a bit of a schedule, so we're going to really keep this one short, sharp, and super powerful. But we do start with rapid fire, which is about 21 questions. That's quick questions, quick answers. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Favorite song right now?
Wow. I have to check my Spotify for that one. God damn.
Yeah, that's I'm going to go with Heartbeat by Childish Gambino.
Oh, wow. Throwback, dude.
Yeah, I've been listening to that one a fair bit at the gym, actually.
I'm going to go with Apricots by Bicep.
Bicep. So you're at the gym and you're listening to a guy named Bicep. Love it.
Yeah. Very good.
Favorite song to get pumped up to?
Gonna check my Spotify again. Expect questions like this.
I want to say the same because like just the beat behind Heartbeat gets me really into the gym, pumps me up. Yeah, I kind of want to say the same.
Keep Your Distance by Amir Van. That's a finisher on the gym. That track, let me tell you.
All right. Good. Favorite movie?
Probably Shawshank Redemption or
really?
Dark Knight. Weird.
Huge.
Dark Knight's good.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know if I have one for that. It's anything by Christopher Nolan. I'll go with The Prestige.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
Good. Favorite book?
The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle.
I'm going to go with The Third Door by Alex Bernard.
Ooh, that is your favorite, isn't it?
Yeah.
Favorite color?
Purple. And then you have to say.
Yeah, I guess purple. MetaMinds purple.
Or the other.
True. All the branding's purple.
Oh, actually, yeah.
Okay. Go-to meal?
Some sort of tofu stir fry.
I have a big oats and protein with a bunch of different stuff in a smoothie every morning.
Nice. Yeah,
so
cool.
Look forward to that every day.
Favorite TV show?
Billions.
Ooh. For me, probably Seinfeld. I gotta say, I watched it on repeat.
Okay. Aimon was a little bit like, "What? That's the best you can come up with."
Yeah.
What?
I don't know.
First job.
What was that?
First job.
Oh, pizza. I was at a pizza restaurant. I was in a big Eagle suit at Eagle Boys waving the spoon around. Like 35-degree heat. It was crazy.
Good way to stay in shape.
Hungry Jack's for me, which is like Burger King for other people out there.
Love it. This is good. This is interesting doing it with two people. I haven't done it like this before. It's good. You get so many different perspectives.
Something about him as well.
Yeah.
Your biggest sporting / celebrity idol growing up?
Probably like Cristiano Ronaldo, I guess.
Oh, this is I like this rapid fire round. Definitely puts you on the spot. I didn't have many like sporting idols as such. It's probably more directors, and I suppose we'll have to go with Christopher Nolan as well.
He's pretty good at soccer.
Yeah, dude, he crushes.
I love it. One thing that you hate or dislike, and you can't say coriander.
Oh wow! I literally wouldn't say coriander. Okay. Did you say that you can't say coriander to everyone?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Is it a very common answer? Is it?
Absolutely.
I love coriander.
Same here. So I'm like, yeah, I'm throw it on. I don't mind.
Mine would be vinegar.
Vinegar.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a story behind that, but anyway.
Some abusive childhood thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go for a little bit deeper of an answer. I would say that I hate that human collective consciousness are unable to see that egos are destroying the planet.
I like it.
You
I
and
can't.
vinegar, bro.
Vinegar and the people who are killing the world.
Yeah.
Funniest or craziest thing you've done?
Craziest thing. Probably not allowed to say that. Last year I did a 8-day hike in Switzerland, and that was insane. Finishing at the Matterhorn, very mentally and emotionally challenging, and physically, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a tricky one. I want to say funniest thing. Okay, so when I lived in Spain, I was trying to get onto the soccer team. So as someone crossed the ball over for me to head it, it went a little lower than expected and kind of hit me in the delicate region, and I scored the goal. And after that, I actually got on the team. I don't know if that was like a contributing factor. It could have been, who knows? But that was hilarious for everyone.
When you said a little bit lower, I thought you might have said hitting the shoulder or hitting the chest, but that's like a lot lower, isn't it? Like,
yeah, I had to sit out for the rest of the game, but I got on the team. So.
Hey, and you scored. You got your name on the score sheet, so that's all that matters. That's a good one. Are you more book or audio book?
Audio book.
Summer or winter?
Winter.
Summer.
It's like a weird thing. I'm getting like two answers, and it's like I don't know who to listen to. What's something that you haven't done yet that you really want to do?
Well, I really wanted to go on another podcast. This is the first time we've both been on a podcast together.
Wow. All right. This is good.
Yeah, okay. I'll go with that answer as well.
Okay. MetaMinds together podcast. I like it. I like it. Sum up your mindset in one word.
Discipline.
Consistent.
Proudest moment personally, proudest moment professionally.
Proudest moment professionally was when I destroyed a limiting belief by sitting with a high ticket client and charged them $10,000 for one video. I was so nervous, but when I did it and they did not even blink, I realized that I could have charged more, and I realized the full value of what I'm really offering and who I am as a person. That potentially could double as both, but I'll have a think about personal. But that was my professional.
Yeah, I think for me, professionally would be just kind of like sitting with discomfort throughout a lot of my counseling career. So I had a lot of limiting beliefs surrounding like what it would be like to be a counselor, how I would be competent in that space. And I think that kind of fear is within all of us in most situations that we're in. And I almost had to use that fear as fuel. And I still use that when I'm in kind of situations that I'm uncomfortable with. So I think for me, it was just, again, being consistent and trying to be resilient throughout the process of sitting with the discomfort and the fear. And that's kind of personal and professional for me to get into that space, the counseling space, and to help people in the mentoring space as well.
Absolutely. Nice.
So personally, like a couple of months ago, really realizing that I am actually living my dream life. And that allowed me to then open up a new vision of the future and start working towards that vision of the future, because I had actually achieved and actualized my dream life.
That's awesome. Well done, guys. They're good, really good answers. Well done. Thanks for that. Tell us something that no one knows about you.
Digging deep, aren't you, mate?
Yeah. Absolutely. We haven't even started yet. This is only like 3/4 of the way through rapid fire.
Something that no one knows about me. Good question.
Does it usually take a while for people to answer these?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Some people are quick, but some people are a little bit like, They're mindful on which one they choose. That no one, they've got a few things that no one knows, and they're mindful of which one they say.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So when I was in England, I played on a professional football ground before a game happened because we won like a competition and we got to play on the football ground. And even though I was in defense, a little bit of my ego came through and I wanted to score a goal and show off because there were scouts around. But I hit the crossbar and then the other team scored. So it was kind of all on me as to why they scored.
All the sports stuff coming out about you that I never knew, dude.
Yeah, this is awesome.
So it's kind of hard to find something that nobody knows, but something that not many people at all know that we are hopefully soon to discuss in the podcast is that I'm pretty obsessed with nootropics and which is, smart drugs essentially, and trying to find different things because I feel that I have an acute sense of how things affect me. And I'm always looking to kind of hack my way to experience consciousness at its peak, I suppose.
Definitely. I've definitely gone on I did a recent episode with the CEO of Shine, Steve of the Nootropics. And since then I've learned so much about it, dived into it. And awesome. There's some cool stuff out there. I can tell you that much. There's some really good stuff out there. Here we go. The greatest failure, and you can substitute failure for any other word if you choose to. Your greatest failure that ended up being your best lesson.
There's been a few.
Yeah. I've got one that's kind of coming up. So during when I did my web development degree in TAFE, I was I didn't know who I was. I had kind of these limiting beliefs surrounding if I could even achieve that and where I wanted to go with my career and my future. So I actually failed that course and I didn't get my diploma of web development. But during that process, I met a really good friend who I'm still, in contact with. But I also had a really profound conversation with my teacher who actually helped me kind of unlock this drive to want to work with people and help people and kind of help people achieve their dream life. That was something that just kept coming up. And it was something that happened after a few sessions where I had to admit, I'm going to fail this course. There's no way I'm going to pass it. And he sat down with me, he spent time, and that was kind of the catalyst that made me want to get into psychology. So that was massive. And that was a failure that turned into the reason as to why I want to help people and create a dream life for people.
That's really cool. Nice.
And so mine would be that my ego destroyed my first big relationship. And so I was forced to learn exactly who I actually am and understand real relationships between men and women and how I need to act as a man.
Love that. Nice share. If you could choose to have lunch with any one person in the world, 2-hour time limit, where would it be? And where would it be?
Mine would be Aubrey Marcus. Hopefully soon to get him on a podcast. He's one of our dream guests. He's influenced me a lot in terms of wherever he wants, bro.
I love it.
So I want to say Alex Benign, because that was the first audiobook that really kind of sunk in for me. And that concept is something I still try to use in my everyday life. And I think that concept has really helped us kind of find our dream lives and really push boundaries.
Love that.
So again, whenever he's available,
Wherever,
bro. If you want to go to KFC, whatever.
Whatever works. I love that. Love it. What was 10-year-old Dan and 10-year-old Aimon like?
Different.
I'm going to go ahead and say we were both kind of nerdy, both kind of into tech, video games, a little bit socially introverted, maybe didn't have as many friends, trying to figure it all out. Would that be accurate?
Yeah. And I think we spoke about before the podcast, a high frequency of thoughts and quite obsessive, almost compulsive in our actions. So very introverted, and that comes along with that whole introspection and being able to look in yourself and think a lot. So it's just thinking is basically what
obviously minus some of the self-awareness that came later.
Yeah. Just kind of unguided thinking.
Yeah. I love that. Just spinning, just going, and not really knowing what's actually happening there. Second last question. So you guys have done well to get this far. Most people sort of conk out sometimes, but we haven't given up. So well done. What's one quality, trait, skill, belief, value that you would say is consistent across the closest, say, 5 friends, but the one that's the most important to you?
Discipline again.
And mine would be integrity. Integrity.
I like it. Last question. Your favorite superhero?
Ooh.
I'm gonna go against the grain here and say I'm not a fan of superheroes. Sorry, dude.
You got all the way to the end, and then you want to bail out at the end?
He's just
sorry,
not subscribing to your social conventions. I'm gonna go with Iron Man.
Iron Man. All right, I like it. We'll try and get one out of you.
Yeah.
Later. Love it. Well, guys, well done. That is rapid fire. You successfully made it through. You can definitely put it on your resume now.
Cool.
Yes.
I like it. Look, tell us one thing outside of rapid fire now. Tell us one thing that you learned about yourself during COVID.
Something that was huge for myself, and I'm still learning it to this day. And, for the longest time, I was like, oh yeah, human social interaction doesn't matter. Like, it's all good, whatever. Like, I don't really need it or whatever. But it's insane that, like, it's just one of, if not the most important things, is true, genuine human connection. Because that releases, what's it called? Not serotonin, not dopamine. Oxytocin, right?
Yep.
And that is essential for us to survive, for our immune systems. Joe Dispenza talks a lot about this. And when you are alone, and I actually, at the start of COVID, moved out by myself to a unit, which obviously didn't really help my situation. And we've been incredibly lucky in Australia, right? But just like, I've been really trying to focus more on true, genuine human connection. And we have an episode dropping about this very soon. So, when I'm with people, like putting my phone down, really paying attention, asking questions, trying to build better connections with people. It's insane, the fulfillment and like what you actually get out of that.
100%. Like, actually being present in the moment, like actually like wanting to have a conversation, not half on the phone, half talking, half thinking about tomorrow.
Yeah, man.
Good call.
And it's so common as well.
True.
Yeah. I think I learned, like, I would definitely agree with that, but just for a different answer, just the resilience of people around me and the clients I work with. Again, we've been very fortunate and we've been very lucky in our situation, but I've worked with some people who have not been so lucky, and just to see their resilience and to see how their mind has kind of evolved and developed to reframe things and to kind of, I guess, destroy their limiting beliefs around what is possible. That has been really amazing, and it's kind of helped motivate me just to push through. Like, we have been very lucky, so there's no reason for me to complain. But if I can help some people who are really struggling, that does mean a lot, for sure.
I completely agree with that, and it's almost like, not that you didn't have a choice to be strong, but you were sort of pushed into a corner a little bit. It's like, it was tough times. Like, there's probably nothing as tough as what we had to go through, and it was, like you said, it was so good to see so many people actually stand up to that. And I think even more so now, the people that probably didn't get the best end of the stick actually were able to reach out for help. I think it became a really good community. I can speak only here in Melbourne. In my social network, there's a lot of people reaching out, a lot of people talking and helping each other. And, I never saw that in 2019 or prior, So like you said, and that sort of goes on to the human connection part of it. People really connecting on a completely different level as well.
I think it's definitely started a new conversation around
100%.
mental health in general, like something that still can be taboo. But yeah, that's definitely come to the forefront because people are struggling every single day, regardless of what's happening.
Correct.
But this has kind of forced us into a corner where it
became real. It became real because we all
deal with this now. You can't just put it
exactly
off.
right. You can't just you can't brush it off, or you can't hide it because we were all facing the same pandemic, which is awesome. So I have to ask a question. Where did you guys actually meet?
Oh, this is a good story. So
one cold winter evening.
I'm actually not sure what the season was, but so it's a Friday night and we're down. It's funny because we now live in the same suburb that we met in. We're down at the local table tennis hall. We're both playing table tennis. And then Dan walks over because I was friends with his friend's little brother because I was in his grade or whatever. And I think we were going to play each other. We were on the same table that night, which rarely happened because Dan was way better than me at the time. And I just turned to him for some reason. I had a bout of confidence. I was like, "What's your name?" And he goes, "I'm Batman." And from that point forward, we were best friends.
Yeah.
And he's still saved as Batman on my phone and on my Facebook. So
yeah,
I still associate him as Batman. And just for the record, now I am, in fact, better than Dan at Table Tennis.
And now I'm Robin and you're Batman.
Kind of.
So it sounds like Batman is your favorite superhero.
Whoa, I didn't say, I mean, whoa.
But we got it out of him. Well done, Dan.
Yeah,
we got it out of him.
And after that, the crazy thing is, like, we met, became like relatively close, not crazy close. Really, yeah. And then we disconnected for a very long time. And then the reason that we reconnected was Aimon won a giveaway on my YouTube channel that was a randomly selected giveaway. And I was going to send it to him in the mail. And he was like, I'm local, man. Like, why don't you just drop it off, basically? And then we started chatting. And then from there, I guess now I'm stuck with Aimon.
Now I'm stuck with Now we're Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
I love that. Good to hear. So who actually won that match, though? Did you end up playing each other that night?
I don't recall.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
We'll just say it was a draw. Let's
just say that.
I don't even know if there are draws in table tennis, but we'll just say it was. Love it. So look, guys, you're both, in a way, do completely different things, but come together for an incredible cause. Obviously, in doing the podcast and MetaMinds, and I've listened to, I don't know, half your episodes, and they're incredible. Some of the, like, how vulnerable you guys are, I have to say that as well, like, is incredible. How much you put yourselves out there, and even like in some of the answers you gave, like, they weren't just top shelf sort of stuff. They were quite thoughtful, which I really respect and appreciate. How did it all sort of happen? Like, where did the MetaMinds thing come from? Where did your journey sort of come to a spot where, like, let's do an actual podcast sharing on this topic?
Yeah.
So I know it's a very big question and very broad, but yeah.
No, we got there. So
we got it, man. We got it.
So essentially, after we started to kind of reconnect, obviously Dan's a counselor, so he's got that analytical mind. And as we mentioned, both when we were very young, we've always had a kind of an analytical mind, which has been a huge blessing, but also a huge curse. We overthink things, and it's just, pushed us into corners, made us a little bit loners, and made it really hard for us to actually get where we wanted to go. But then also we can kind of come to conclusions that potentially maybe a lot of people aren't lucky enough to come to, because we just ruminate on the topic for so long. And that's why I say it's a blessing and a curse. And so what I found, and why we continue to hang out, was we just had deep conversations every time we hung out. And we both left just super energized, like, oh my God, what was that? We never had that with anybody, And we were doing that for like 3-4 years. And then one day it was like, dude, there's a lot of value here. Like, we're very confident that a lot of what we're talking about here, maybe not for the masses, but we're certain that there's a lot of people out there that maybe aren't aware of some of the things that we're talking about, and maybe don't see them in the light in the way that we see them or present them or understand them as ourselves. So we're like, why aren't we recording this and putting this in the podcast? We kind of chatted about it maybe a year before that. Mm-hmm. And then within 3 days, our first podcast was online.
Wow.
It was pretty bad, as they all are. That's our journey.
100%.
Start. And then we've had essentially a weekly podcast ever since then, and that was basically 2 years ago.
So it's just based on you guys talking for 2 or 3 years, being like, wow, like, we connect well, we've got great value here. Why don't we try and share it? And in the space of 3 days, it's like, cool, let's start a podcast and let's put it out there.
Yeah, well, I guess even the interesting thing was, on the kind of theme of limiting beliefs and what we think, like, for example, like, some of our early thoughts was, why are we the type of people to put out a podcast? How is anyone going to resonate with our message? Is this going to be valuable for anyone? And that was like something that we would talk about. And it got to the point that those limiting beliefs were created by this imaginary voice that we have in our head. No one's ever said that to us. And even if they did, that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. So we kind of just got to the point where it's like, no, seriously, man, like, why are we not doing this? Like, we've had some amazing chats. We've gained a lot out of this. And if one person gains something, why not do it? Why not give it a go? And the crazy thing is, like, the podcast has been such an amazing self-development tool within itself, which is just mind-blowing. But
so what was it, though, that drove you guys to actually take that step to do it? Because you guys sort of mentioned in that rapid fire section a fair bit, about limiting beliefs. And I've noticed that you're obviously very well educated, both of you guys. What was it that you said, actually, like, let's do this? Actually, let's register the name, let's record, let's do it.
So both of us are content creators. I have a YouTube channel. Dan has a YouTube channel. I'm a music producer. Dan's a counselor. Like, we're both creative and we love creating things. And yeah, we just kind of like literally realized that it's like, why aren't we creating a podcast? Like there is value here. It was literally that simple. And then we were like, oh yeah, why not? And then the hardest thing was coming up with a name. And then we just like landed on that and we were like, yeah, that's it. Boom, let's go. And yeah.
But why that moment though? Like why then? You said it was 3 years and a year of talking about it. Like, what happened in that moment?
I think like, because we had many conversations about it. And I think it was literally just in that moment, like in that session, those questions that I just brought up then, some of those limiting beliefs or thought patterns that maybe other people have put on us, we literally like sat there and had a session of destroying those limiting beliefs. Like we sat there, we recognized them, we kind of discovered why they were there. Like, you know, has someone said something like that to us? And then another thing that I think was a big catalyst for change was, you know, we looked into some of the statistics around podcasts, and I might butcher this, but I think the number was on average after 13 episodes, podcasts stop. People stop after 13 episodes. And we didn't want to just be another statistic. We didn't just want to do this willy-nilly and just go, all right, we'll check out a podcast. Nice. We've done it. It's like, I think one thing that Aimon and I both have, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we really do have pride in what we do. And there's no point in our eyes of doing something to that level just because, like, we actually want to have some kind of grit and substance to it.
And there was some purpose to it as well. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think that was the big thing. We're like, okay, well, let's do this and let's do it properly. And then literally, like, I think we filmed 3 episodes before we even released one. So in those 3 days prior to releasing it, we were like, we came up with the ideas, came up with the name, set everything up, and then we're like, let's film 3. So then we're backed up. So we're not just going 1, and then we might do 1 in 2 weeks. It's like we had 3. We had 3 weeks of content. And then after the second week, we shot again.
So would you suggest that of, you know, sort of sitting down with someone, because that's what I was trying to get at is, like you said, you sat down and you know, sort of spoke about those limiting beliefs and those fears and those things that are holding you back, that voice in your mind. Would you suggest that that's obviously a powerful tool or a process to do if there is someone listening that's like, I really want to do a podcast, or I really want to ask that girl or guy out on a date, I really want to play football, I really want to play soccer and score a goal, not really using the right body part, you know, whatever it is, like, would you suggest that that's a really powerful tool process to go through?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most vulnerable positions that you can be in, but it is the most powerful in terms of transformation, because you're accepting potentially limiting, like, because a lot of these limiting beliefs and thoughts, they might ruminate on a subconscious level. Like, you know, your parents might have said you're going to fail at this, or peers are doing, you know, better than you in an academic level. So you might go, well, I'm never going to succeed in life because the school system is focused on academics, you know, but the reality is it's like sitting down and actually naming what it is that is stopping you can be the most powerful thing. Anything that you're struggling with, actually naming it and talking about it, it disarms it. It takes away some of the power of that thing that feels so powerful because you're internalizing it. But even if you have a friend, writing it down can be really powerful, putting it on paper.
So to go one deeper, I'm not sure if you mentioned at the start there, but MetaMinds Online is a mentoring service that helps conscious people destroy limiting beliefs. That's the whole thing. And so we believe that everything that you are not doing is a limiting belief. And I'll give you a silly example. One that I always say to kind of frame it to people is what you are doing right now is sitting on a chair, right? And you have a belief around that chair that it is there to sit on, right? But what if it's firewood, you know? But you're not using it as firewood because you believe it's one thing. So you're limiting your beliefs by believing it's one thing when it could actually be another thing. And you can do this with everything, you know? And so it's like, why aren't we starting a podcast? It's like, I could never do that because of this or this or this. And whatever beliefs you have stacked on top of that, they are all limiting beliefs stopping you from doing something. So if you can recognize those and do the work around those to push through them, that's how you achieve your dream life.
Yeah, good. And that was another thing, you finished it off there, like living your dream lives. It's like, you know, some people might say, you know, how is that possible? Like, I don't even know what my dream is. I don't even know what my dream life should be. I don't even know, you know, if I'm even close to that. I'm doing something that I hate, or whatever it might be. How did you guys, in a way, like make that happen? Like get to where you are now?
Yeah, so it was a process to kind of discover the language around it and actually name the things that we're talking about. But, you know, we've always been like very motivated. It's a self-development podcast. So obviously we always want to push to the next level with everything we're doing, whether that's nature or nurture or any, you know, combination of the two. We just happen to be the type of people that want to push to the next level. So we're very lucky and grateful to have those traits. But yeah, it took a while to kind of really name that that's what we're doing. But it's like, we kind of realize that what we're doing is trying to achieve our dream life, right? It's like, yeah, it's like we want to be a bit better, but it's like, you could say it that way, or you could say, you know, we're trying to achieve our dream life. And then it's like, okay, so what is it that we're actually really trying to achieve? What does our dream life look like? What does our dream life feel like? What is a day in our dream life?
Yeah.
And this is the first session that we do in our 8-week mentoring program, is discovering what your dream life is. And it's so funny because, to just, you know, dive a little bit deeper again, a lot of people have a limiting belief that they think that they don't know what their dream life is. So that's the first limiting belief that we overcome, is that establishing that you do actually have an idea of what your dream life is. And it's pretty damn clear. You just have to ask the right questions to get there, right?
Yeah, definitely. I love that. For you guys, do you think that, you know, using the podcast as you sort of said, it's like it's helped you guys sort of grow and evolve in your own way? Do you think that's sort of unlocked other potential in what you do outside of the podcast?
So one of our theories is content theory, right? And we have an episode on this. I would encourage people to go and check it out. But in short, creating and releasing content about the things that you love will get you to places that you could never even think of. And I'm sure you are in the same position, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
But the amount of opportunities that have come to both of us because we have a podcast is insane, right? Because at the start, like, we had a clear vision of what we wanted, but we didn't know that we were trying to make a thing or what consequences it may have. But the amount of clients or job opportunities or things that have fallen into our hands because we release content, you never know who's watching. So
100%.
Yeah, 100%. And just on like a personal note, it's a therapeutic process to create content, especially something you're actually passionate about. And that's like one of the clear things. Like when you're talking about dream life or limiting beliefs, you like when we work with clients, when I'm sitting down with a client and trying to unpack their dream life, you really have to kind of label what it is that other people have told them they should do and what it is that they actually want to do. Because you'll find a lot of the time, a lot of our narratives and a lot of the decisions we've made in life are because of other people. We're fearful of not achieving something because someone set an expectation or a standard of us. And it's actually unpacking like, well, actually, I don't agree with what my dad, mom, sister said. I don't agree with that. That's what they believe. And that's fine. And I can accept that. But I don't agree with that. And I want to do this. And that's completely fine. So I think in that kind of vein, like it's been such a therapeutic process, like especially for me going through school, struggling, moving from England to Australia, not having friends, not knowing who I was. Like I put down to my self-development as creating has been one of the biggest tools to help me find myself, because it's put me out there. I've had to be vulnerable. I've had to deal with, you know, hateful comments or people expecting things of me. And it really makes you assess yourself internally. It's quite a powerful process to put yourself in.
Completely agree. And, you know, and it sort of goes back on what you said at the start about, you know, COVID, Aimon. It's like, you know, you still get that connection. Like, look, we're connecting obviously via Zoom on the other side of the country. Like you said, the opportunities that it opens to meet people, build your social circle, but then also like that self-confidence of, you know, having a conversation, talking to someone, and being the host, like doing homework, learning. Like I learned so much just by learning about you guys before we even did this show, you know? So I think it's almost like it is an educational tool for the host, but then it's also incredible to be on the other side of it as well, where you still get to learn and even say, like you said earlier, saying it out loud, writing it down on paper, it becomes real.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
And you can have chats off camera about one thing, but when you're doing it on camera, you just like, you can really see the thoughts as something else and different things. Like you really form a theory while you're doing the thing.
Totally.
Which gives you the confidence of what you're talking about.
Love that. Yeah, good call. You mentioned, Dan, there that, you know, you might have a limiting belief or just some sort of thought, that voice in your head because your mum, your dad, your brother, your sister, the next door neighbor, school teacher said something to you. If someone does have some sort of resentment, whatever it may be, some sort of feeling towards one of those people because of something they said that's replayed in their mind a million times, what is a good process for them to start breaking through that? Because again, ultimately it's probably going to be holding them back to really achieving what it is, living their dream life. Everyone deserves to live their dream life. So what is a number one step? Like, you know, first thing someone should do if they're feeling that way is this.
I'd say the first step is to name it, to discover what that dream life is. So you have to, and this is a process you can do on your own or with someone else. It's just sitting down and recognizing that, like I said before, what someone is saying is their truth. And that's something that they believe, and that's completely fine. And one of the big therapies that I work on is acceptance and commitment therapy. So it's the idea that you're working towards a committed future self through your values, and not everyone shares similar values. So if someone's telling you something, that's coming from their truth, and that's completely fine. But it's the idea of almost not attaching to every thought and comment that comes in. And this is kind of the process of mindfulness in general and challenging your ego. But it's the idea of really sitting with yourself and feeling in your body, like when you say something like, I want to have a plant-based diet, let's say, for example, and other people in your family are like, no, you've got to eat meat. It's like, that's completely fine. That's their truth. And you don't have to challenge that, but you can accept that that's their truth, but you don't want to live that way anymore. So it's the process of accepting that other people have their opinions and recognizing that your values are, I want to live a more conscious plant-based life. Therefore, my actions are going to be this way instead of resistance, because resisting something is also taking you back a step. You know, if you're going to resist and try to challenge someone's beliefs, firstly, you're probably not going to get anywhere because it's so ingrained into them. But secondly, it's like, it's your ego trying to attack another ego. So it's the process of really understanding why you want to do it and not why someone else has an opinion on something.
So, but to zoom out a little bit there, I think your question was maybe more directed at the limiting beliefs thing. It's like, what we're finding with a lot of our clients is that they don't even recognize that they have limiting beliefs. You know, everyone has a belief system. They believe something about something, right?
Yeah.
But they don't even realize that a belief that they have is blocking them from getting where they want. So the
100%.
first step is actually recognizing the limiting beliefs. And then you can start to do the work around them to say, why do we have that belief?
Correct.
What can we do about that belief? You know what I mean? So
and sometimes it takes time to find that, because, you know, in our imprint stage 0 to 7, it's probably imprinted then when you don't even remember something happening.
Exactly.
And there's probably one scenario, and I'll be open here. There's one thing that happened to me when I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and we were out for dinner and with family and friends, and I don't know, I was just growing up, and maybe I was a bit older, probably like maybe closer to 10, and I was eating. I just ate a lot. Like, I don't know, I was just growing. I wasn't overweight. I was just would always eat. And my dad said out loud to everyone, he's like, this kid just doesn't stop eating. One day he's going to be like overweight when he gets older. So from that moment, like around food, I was always very mindful. I was like, am I going to become overweight if I eat too much? And it was only until I turned about maybe 22, 23 when I started to realize that, like, I can go to the gym, or there's other ways of eating, and I can manage my weight, and I can train, and I can exercise, and I can eat different food, and I can monitor it. And then sort of allowed that to go. But from when I was like 8 to 10 years old. So what's that, 12 years that it was with me. And only now doing some more of the work, I can understand why that small moment. I still remember the exact restaurant. I remember exactly where we were sitting, the entire thing that happened. And look, it lasted that long.
That's really powerful, man. Thanks for sharing that. And something that is so powerful about that, and Dr. Gabor Mate says this a lot, is that trauma, because that's trauma that you just said.
Absolutely.
There. It doesn't necessarily have to be traumatic. You know, a lot of people think of trauma and it's like, oh, my dad beat me when I was 1. You know, it's like, no, it can be exactly what you said. And then all of a sudden you think you're going to get really fat. And it's just not true. And he was probably even saying it playfully. He's like, this kid eats a lot.
He was. It was just a joke. Yeah.
Exactly. But you were like, oh my God, my dad thinks I'm going to get fat. And that just stuck with me for 12 years.
Yeah, man.
Which is insane. And that's a huge thing, is that this trauma happens and people are like, oh, but that's not trauma. It's like, no, it is.
Yeah.
It's very tiny and you probably don't recognize it, but it's imprinted in your brain.
Exactly right. And especially, you know, for kids who are so easily influenced, and, you know, to have an authority figure like a parent, someone that you look up to, it can literally be like you just said. I've seen countless accounts of, you know, a parent saying you're a bad kid, and then the kid then can only live up to that standard because that's all they hear, you know. And that can happen all the time with anything. It can be in a slight tone change, you know. It can be the way that it's inflected as frustration or disappointment, and then the kid internalizes that, or anyone. You don't have to be a child to internalize anything, but just on that point, you know, it's like, as human beings, we're so easily influenced, and especially 100%. In our younger years when we're looking up to an authority figure or someone in our life that we trust. So
our parents there's only 2 people in the world that we think that know everything. You know, they think whatever they say must be true, because, you know, who else is out there? It's just our parents. My household is what most people think.
Yeah.
So it is incredible, and that is something that I want to pass on to the listeners or people that end up watching this, is that it can backdate to who knows how long, and it could be the smallest thing. Like you said, some of the way someone looked at you, the way they inflected their tone, or the way, just the choice of word because they were in a rush or whatever, can carry on with you. I read this really cool quote Actually, was on a podcast. One of the guys said, he goes, be mindful, because he goes, your external words can become someone's internal words. And I was like, wow, that's like everything that you say and someone hears, like, who knows how many times they might replay that back to themselves.
Yeah.
And what impact it can have on them. So, I want to shift it over to you, Aimon, if that's all right. So you've done the whole video thing, and you do the production and music and all that. Why did you get down this route? Like, why did you go down a little bit more of the self-development route? Obviously, like you've mentioned, like 20 books already so far. So you obviously have done some work on yourself. Like, where did that come from?
Yeah. So my very first audiobook, and I mentioned that, I had a lot of thoughts as a kid, and that has never stopped, and it's been a blessing and a curse. So I've always overanalyzed things. And so it made me a little bit, socially retarded, but then also obviously it has allowed me to develop on my own and see things that potentially other people can't see, whether it's social situations or see things in myself and become more aware of my ego. But the very first book that I listened to was Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. I don't know where I got it from. I must have downloaded it from a torrent or something like that. But for some reason, found that, and I forgot where exactly I was listening to it. But I would have been like 14 or 15. And this is my first entrance into anything self-development. I was always having these thoughts like, there's something more. I'm just not satisfied. As like a 14-year-old kid, it's like, I know there's something more, like it's not good enough. Like felt what I thought was depression, or, just, I don't fit into this world. What's wrong with me? And then I hear that audiobook and I listen to it like 10 times within the next few weeks, because I was like, this is it, man. This is what's going on. There's something bigger, and this guy knows what's up. Because, back in the day, it's like, who's into self-development? It's like, it's Tony Robbins, like no one else.
Totally.
It's like an hour and a half audiobook. Yeah. It's like an hour and a half audiobook, but that was the first trigger for me to go, oh my God, I'm not alone. And this is why I think it's so important that we have a podcast, because if we can do that to one person where they go, oh my God, it's not just me, man. Because that's what happened to me. And then it was pretty much all up from there. And so I was lucky enough, I don't have too many friends that I can talk about self-development stuff with, but I clicked with Dan. We always have conversations where we build on things that we're talking about, and I'll have a theory and he adds to it. And that's why I say whenever we leave each other, we feel energized, because like a theory becomes complete or whatever.
Yeah.
You complete me.
You guys.
That's kind of how my self-development journey started. And it's a bit odd because I don't have too many self-development friends, but because I'm always into creating.
So from that 14, 15-year-old, you sort of just kept like reading more books and in that space. Like, did you know what self-development was then, or was it just like, I want to find more books like this?
Yeah, I didn't even label it as self-development, and because I didn't even know what it was, like where to look for it or whatever. Podcasts weren't even a thing then, It took another couple of years, and then pretty much the next audiobook that I read was holy shit! The one after that. It's right here. Hold on, I'm re-listening to it for like the third time, or whatever. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And I was on my first overseas trip, and that was also because it made me very aware of the whole ego thing. And I was like, I've been thinking about this, but I didn't know what it was, and the way he labeled things, I was like, this is what it is.
Explained it well. Good. So, Glad to hear. Do you reckon that helped you become a bit of a videographer, better production?
Everything, because while the thing that I use to get results is a video camera, my actual main skill that gets the real results is communication. And good communication comes from understanding people, understanding what's going on. So my ability to interview people, to actually get amazing performances out of people on camera, every time my feedback is like, they're like, wow, you always make me feel so alive, and it's so easy to talk to you on camera. And every other videographer, it's like, they're just like, okay, go. I literally had this conversation the other night. He was like, yeah, I was with a video guy, and he was like, just set up the camera. He was like, okay, go. And he was like, I didn't know what to do. He's a builder, And it's like, So understanding people, communication, absolutely. Like learning about self-development, myself, growing as a person, learning a bunch of business books. That's helped me in business 100%.
Tenfold. Love that. Dan, for you, sort of now really tied in what you sort of did through uni and now putting it out in a more public way. I don't want to say, do you enjoy, like, which one do you enjoy better, the more one-on-one or the podcast? But, do you think they complement each other? Has doing a podcast and interviewing people, hearing more stories allowed you to be a better counselor?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's developed so many skills. And one of the things is, we've kind of spoken about it before, Aimon and I, like on the podcast. It's almost like we're hacking our way to knowledge or to growth. Like we're taking gems from these amazing guests that we've had on, and we're taking things that are resonating with us, and then we're kind of implementing them into our lives. And from there, the amount of times that Aimon and I have used a term that a guest has said or some sort of theory, and I use that with my clients, and it regularly comes up in my mind as almost like something that I could maybe interject here or maybe offer some sort of thought process here. So it's helped with that. It's helped with confidence. It's also a skill that I didn't think, like sitting counseling someone, like there's a form of interviewing there. Like there's something called motivational interviewing, but it's completely different to being on a camera and interviewing someone sitting right next to you, knowing that you're trying to find a particular piece of value almost. So yeah, it's ridiculous the amount of skills I've gained from it. I think to answer the question 100%, it's helped me grow as a counselor and as a person. And anything, I guess, that we do that helps us grow as a person on a personal level is going to kind of flow into our professional life anyway. So I think for me it's been big.
Yeah, so I came from like a trade background. So it's sort of the way I envision what you said and visualize it is like having my tool belt, and you're just picking up tons of tools and you're carrying them all around. And whenever time you need something, you just rip it out and be like, here, I need this right now. So-and-so said this and they use this process or they use this terminology. Here, this is going to be your best medicine.
Are you aware of trademark then?
Hey?
Are you aware of trademark?
Yeah, Trademark. No.
Oh, definitely check that out after the podcast, man. They're a local organization. They're a clothing company, but they're also the whole thing is like mental health for tradies, essentially.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll have you on their podcast, and it'll be a great fit for you, especially if you have a trade-based background. They're doing some amazing stuff. And
I'll have to trade might. I'll have to
yeah. They've been on our podcast as well, so you can check.
I'm going to listen to that one as well. And yeah, that's a good one. Thanks for sharing that, guys. What would be your top 3 habits? Would you say to making your day the dream life?
Disciplined, mindful, creative.
Wow.
Have you not done your life systems,
Consistent, intentional, and I think honest, but honest with myself of what's actually achievable. Because sometimes we all put too much on our list. So it's the idea of being honest with what you can achieve. But then that could be a limiting belief, maybe.
Could be.
Maybe I'm limiting my potential. But yeah, consistency, integrity, and honestly.
Do you think being honest to yourself holds you back?
Potentially. I think it probably could. Probably could, yeah. So maybe I have to scrap that one.
See, this is a breakthrough. This is awesome.
Yeah. I think also like in terms of like burnout in a counseling space and in a creative space, that's also a massive thing. And I'm sure creators and anyone in a professional space feels burnout, depleted of, depletion of energy or drive or motivation. So I think what I mean by the honesty is actually recognize your body, like be honest with yourself. Like if you can't do that, that's completely fine. There's
totally. Agreed. And you know what? That's probably one of the biggest things I learned through COVID was, being okay with, if I'm feeling tired, because I'm a hard worker. So if I'm feeling tired, I'm not being lazy.
Yeah.
Like allow it to happen. Like, okay, cool. Well, maybe I need to get some rest. That's my body telling me, shit, Jamie, like, cool. You've done some serious hours these last 4 days and needs another extra hour night sleep tonight.
It's hard to do though. If you have the mindset like us, you just start bullying yourself. Like it's not good enough. Why aren't you doing that? And then you do the work and it's like trash work anyway. It's like, no, you just need to relax.
Yeah. There comes a time where it's like, push through a little bit and then, you'll reach the higher level, but then also comes a time of being honest with yourself and saying, am I being lazy or am I like actually tired?
Yeah.
Or am I actually sore from training?
Yeah.
Or whatever it might be, there has to be that nice, polarize of it and difference in it. Do you remember the moment where you said, wow, like this is real, like shit, like not I've made it, but like, wow, like this is real, like we're doing it?
With the podcast, are you saying?
Podcast and maybe even in just your own lives.
Cool.
What was the question? Sorry, was there a question?
Do you remember the moment where you sort of said, that's all right. Do you remember the moment where you sort of said, wow, like we've made it, like this is real? Like this, like we're doing it, like we're doing what we envisioned, like we're doing what we said would do?
Not the exact moment, because there is no making it, It's
exactly right. Yeah.
You get to a stage and then you get to the next stage or whatever. But
was there a time where you sort of said, like, wow, like we're living it, like it's what we dreamed 6 months ago before starting this podcast. It's actually here.
Yeah.
So like it kind of hit us about a year into the podcast, which was this January, right?
Yeah.
We were like, oh, we've been doing this for a year and we've done, 50 episodes or something. And that kind of was, one of the moments that kind of made us realize that we are on this dream life journey, and we are actually doing the thing. And one of the bigger issues here is that it's like, all these different pressures, as we were kind of talking about, from family and society. It's like, you want to be rich and you want to have Porsches and you want to have bitches or whatever. It's like, we realize that it's like, we've discovered what our dream life is outside of all expectations of society and everything else. And we may not be there now, but we are aware that we are on the path to get to exactly what we want out of 100%. Our lives, which is
you're more closer than you'll ever be because you know what it is, instead of chasing something that you think you like. Oh, because the magazine says I have to have a car or a Porsche or a boat or a holiday in Miami.
Yeah,
you're more closer than you ever be if you actually know what it is.
Yeah, exactly,
100%. And I think for me, the moment I recognized that for the podcast, it was real. Something that I didn't feel prior to that was, for the first, I think 5-6 episodes, it was just Aimon and I. And that was kind of something that I developed in my mind, kind of subconsciously. I was like, oh, cool, we're doing this thing. It's just Aimon and I, we're just chatting about things. And then I remember we had the conversation, like, should we consider some guests maybe? And then we had like 3 guests booked in back to back the weekend after. And the moment that we sat down with a guest and we finished that, and I just felt like my cup was full, basically. Like I left going, wow, like that person has so much to offer. We connected with them. Like there was, you're sharing energy with someone. Like it's amazing to be able to connect with someone on that deep level, and to be able to have those conversations that change you as a person. And hopefully the questions we've asked them will help them develop as a person.
Totally.
And we did 3 of those back to back. And it was like, I had this limiting belief. I didn't know where we were going. I didn't know what it would look like to have a guest. And then we did 3 in quick succession. And I was like, okay, wow, that was completely different to just Aimon and I. And I think that's when I was like, wow.
Yeah, good way to bust through. Instead of just doing 1 guest, it's like, you know what, let's just stack it with 3.
Yeah.
And then we'll never go back. I love that.
Yeah.
Well done, guys.
Podcast aside, now that we've actually had a number of clients come through our program this year, just like another huge moment for us is when we had that very first client.
Totally.
Because we've come up with this blueprint, we've come up with a framework, and we're confident that it works in our lives, but we actually implemented it with that client and they saw phenomenal results and just could not stop talking about some of the systems that we gave them. That really hit us in the face. Like, oh shit, what we're doing is actually making a difference in people's lives. The odd comment on Instagram here or there, it's like, oh, that's great. But when you see significant results and someone change the way they live because of something that you've given them, that is powerful, man.
Yeah, 100%. And it's almost like once that happens, it's almost like we can't stop now.
Yeah.
We have to go bigger. Like we have to go deeper. We have to reach more people and do more guests and have more clients and really help as many more people as we can. Last question I have for you guys is this. Was there ever a time or a moment where someone said something or you heard something of positivity or empowerment? You heard it, you said someone said it to you, whatever, that really sticks with you. If there's a time where it's like, shit, like I need to really dive deep here, what's that one thing that plays in your mind? Like that saying, one word, couple words, quote, whatever it is.
Ooh, I think for me, the first thing that comes to mind was something that Dr. Benjamin Hardy said on our podcast. And it's like throughout his books is the idea of a forcing function. And when I kind of understood that certain things we do in life are going to be more likely to happen if we change our environment and we allow either a social function, a financial function, or even like a psychological function to take control of the situation, it takes away just the chance, oh, I might do that, or I might release a podcast. It's like, well, the forcing function for Aimon and I is there's a social forcing function here for us to do the podcast. Like I am working with Aimon to create an experience for other people out there, and the forcing function is social. And then with the mentorship, there's now a financial forcing function behind it as well. And I think that's something that I knew, but I didn't have a word for it, or I didn't really have a concept. But now I find myself repeating that, and I'll say that to people.
We say it to so many people.
Yeah, and it just sits with me a lot.
And love that. Mine would be, a mentor once told me, perception is reality. And that took a couple of years for it to really sink in, but it's so true. What you perceive to be true is true. And like another way of framing this, I think a popular quote is, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right, you know?
100%.
And so that comes back to the whole limiting beliefs thing, but a great way to kind of like put all these concepts together is perception is reality. And that plays in my mind daily.
Love that. One thing that goes on the back of that, like I work with a lot of my clients, and it's perception is your projection, which is the same. You know, it becomes your reality. Like what you perceive is what you put out there. Yeah, it's sort of
steal that one.
It's all yours, man. It's all yours. But yeah, what you perceive is what you put out there.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's ultimately what you're going to get. So it's that sort of tie in. Well, boys, this has been incredible. You know, thank you so much. It's like I've got tons of notes that I've personally written down. I've got some people that I've got some books that I've written down. I'm sure the listeners and the viewers have also taken tons from it too. Where would be the best spot to connect with either one of you, MetaMinds? Where's the best spot for people to just learn and see what you guys are up to?
We always send people to the podcast first. We have a video, and because I have a video background, we love to film it in high quality. So if that's your thing, come hang out with us on the video. If not, you know, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. But we're very active on Instagram as well. We love to video message people, and we love to encourage people to video message us back. Doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it gets us so buzzed. Okay.
I'm excited you already. Like, send me a video message someone.
So yeah, it's a good way of communicating. It's actually sending a video message and people are always surprised. So that's how we love to hang out with you. We're always there to chat. Anything you want to say, anything you want to ask us, anything about the podcast, hit us up.
Good, man. Guys, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for making the time. I'll make sure I put all those details in the show notes for everybody as well. And I'll have it popping up on the video so everyone can click through and see it. But again, you guys are doing incredible work. Now, if this is just from me to you, like you're doing some incredible work. And like I said, listening to some of the episodes and how vulnerable you guys are, and even just seeing how far you guys have come personally, like who knows where you will be in the next 10 years, you know, and where the podcast can take you guys. And if you're already envisioning and stepping into that dream life, it's only exciting and bigger and better things to come from here. So well done to you guys. I appreciate everything you've done for even just being here, and then also even putting it out there.
Thank you very much, man. We really appreciate it. You asked some amazing questions. You definited caught us off guard there at the start there.
Good.
That was good.
I wanted you to be open.
You took our podcast guest virginity, so we appreciate that.
There you go. That too. Another one goes on the resume.
Just one last thing is that, you know, if anything that we've said here has resonated with anybody and you think you want to live your dream life and you think you have maybe limiting beliefs, or, you know, you want to unlock your full potential, at the moment we have a 15-minute free Meta Minutes. You can just go to our website, book that in, and it's 15 minutes. We'll help you uncover what your dream life potentially looks like. There's no obligation. And if you then think that this is potentially a right fit, it's also just seeing if they're a right fit for us, then we might be able to move forward and, you know, use Dan as your mentor.
Yeah.
Nice. Well done, guys. It's if you are listening, definitely take up that opportunity for sure. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Again, I really appreciate it. Everyone listening and watching, I appreciate you for joining in on this episode, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye now.